The Alpha One Lightwave Amp, your solution for the need for better audio for early model BMWs with Harman Kardon, Hi-Fi Professional DSP, and individual audio. And while this E70 X5 has plenty of power under the hood, it's lacking power in the audio department, and this Alpha One Lightwave Amp will help change all of that. For the longest time, BMW owners have either been stuck with their weak Harman Kardon amps or piecing together random audio equipment and hoping for the best. Now, for years now, you've seen us install our amps in later model BMWs with Harman Kardon, but now we're going to be installing this Lightwave amp in an E70 X5. While you need to double check your VIN on our site for compatibility, if you have one of these sound systems, this amp is for you. Harman Kardon, Hi-Fi Professional DSP, and individual audio are all powered by a variation of Harman Kardon's 9-channel OEM amplifier with an optical output, and our Lightwave amp is specifically designed for these systems. The Lightwave has a total output of 2300 watts max, which is nearly 4 times as much as the 600-watt stock Harman Kardon amp. It features 9 speaker-level output channels, including one 400-watt RMS channel that normally powers the center channel, but can also power a passive trunk sub instead. It also has a 10th DSP-controlled RCA pre-out, perfect for our sub-10 trunk sub if you want to keep the center channel running while still having an active trunk sub. You'll have full control over all of the settings of the amp for complete tuning and customization. However, you still retain all the controls in your iDrive settings for quick changes on the fly. You can also switch between 2 DSP tuning files by switching the Logic 7 surround switch on or off. And of course, like all of our amps, the Alpha One Lightwave amp comes custom tuned for your ears, your music, and your specific BMW. For a full list of all the features, head on over to our website, link in the description. Also, head on over there to make sure this is compatible with your BMW. To install this yourself, you'll be able to get the job done with our DIY Essentials Kit and Trim Toolkit. If you don't feel comfortable doing this yourself, you can find one of our certified installers near you on our website. We have them in about 30 countries around the world. And don't forget that if you're in the Orlando, Florida area, well then stop on by and we can do it for you. With all of that out of the way, let's get to the installation on this E70 X5. Jarrett, take it away. The first thing you need to do before dealing with anything electronic is to disconnect the battery. Start by opening the hatch and lower the tailgate. Next, lift the floor panel and prop it up. We found that the top of our amp box off to the side works perfectly and gives you all the room you need. Next, remove the 3 Phillips head screws on the top of this plastic panel. Bonus points if yours have factory rust like these. After that, there are 2 more in the bottom section. Once all of the screws are out, remove the panel. With the battery exposed, use a 10mm socket to remove the negative battery terminal and set it aside. We can now start the actual installation. Start by removing this side cover here. Remove the 8mm bolt holding the factory amp to the factory bracket. Once free, pull the amp forward and lift it out. Let's disconnect the factory amp. Remove the 2 smaller connectors by pinching in the center tabs and pulling. For the slide lock connector, which is everyone's favorite, Jarrett started by resting the factory amp on the factory bracket like so for extra leverage. Slide the locking slide down like so. A trim tool may help for extra leverage. Pull the connector off and list your factory amp on eBay. While we're here, let's relocate the fiber optic cable. Start by very carefully cutting and peeling back the factory tape on the cable loom to get extra slack in the fiber optic cable. Once you have enough slack, carefully use a pick tool to pry back the tab holding the fiber optic cables to the connector. Since the other connector is no longer needed, tape it out of the way like so. Take the supplied connector and snap the fiber cables into it. You can also use a cable tie to hold these power cables off to the side as they're no longer needed. Pull this tab if you want a free book. Let's move on to running the power and ground cables. Start by using a 13mm socket to remove this nut here. Slide the ring terminal of the positive cable from the Alpha One kit over the stud and tighten the nut back down. Run the power cable under here for now. the ground, free up the room you need, and remove this 10mm nut here. Slide the ring terminal of the ground cable from the Alpha One kit over the stud, and tighten the nut back down. Run the ground cable under this strap, and under here like so. Jared then decided to secure the cables to existing harnesses with cable ties just to keep everything tidy and secure. He also used a piece of double-sided tape to secure the fuse to the floor to prevent it from moving around. Now we can plug in the amp. Plug the ground into the black side, and the power into the red side. Take the lever lock connector, line it up like so, and rotate the lever to pull it down and lock it into place. At this point, you can install it, but Jared wanted to add a few cable ties to loom the power and ground together for about 1.5 feet to keep things nice and tidy. Finally, you can now put the amp in place. Place the amp on the factory bracket, lining up the tabs on the back of the Alpha One bracket with the corresponding cutouts in the factory one. Once lined up, replace the factory 8mm bolt. Now we can connect the amp. Grab the Alpha One slide lock connector and the corresponding factory connector. Press the two together and squeeze the slide lock down, which will cam the connectors together the rest of the way. It will be tight. Plug the fiber optic cable into the amp. You'll have to remove the gray plastic protector that's in it if you haven't done so already. Use cable ties to secure everything to existing harnesses for a clean install. Last thing to plug in is the USB cable, which will be used to digitally access the amp in the future should you ever need or want to. Jarrett coiled it up and used a twist tie to keep it secure but easily accessible should it be needed. Finally, use cable ties to tidy up the run of the power and ground cables, and then coil up and use cable ties to secure any extra slack. Now it's time to put everything back together. Reconnect the negative battery terminal. Drop the rear panel in place and reinstall all 5 screws. Replace the side panel. Finally, drop the floor panel back down, lift up the tailgate, close the hatch, and you're done. So there you have it. That's how you install our Alpha One Lightwave amp in your BMW E70 X5. Of course, for the best listening experience, you're going to want to pair these with our Alpha One speakers as well. Want this for your E70 X5 or Lightwave compatible BMW? Head on over to our site and enter your VIN to find the right kit for your ride. Have any more questions about this amp? You can reach out to our sales team via chat on our site or by calling. Already have these speakers and have questions about the install or anything else? Reach out to our support team with your order number and they will be eager to assist. But as always, for more tips and tricks, product reviews, and so much more for BMWs, Minis, Supers, and Teslas, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell. Want to know what's happening first? Head on over to our site and sign up for our newsletter. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Thanks for watching.